Have you ever sat down to enjoy a plate of vegetables, believing you were making a healthy choice, only to find out years later that one of them may have been quietly working against your heart, your joints, even your memory? It's hard to imagine, but it happens more often than you think. Not all vegetables are as innocent as they appear, especially after 60. Some interfere with medication, others spike blood pressure, inflame aging tissues, or burden already tired kidneys. What makes this so concerning is that the damage often builds silently over time. Without any early signs to warn you, in the next few minutes, I'll walk you through 3 vegetables that may be accelerating aging without a single symptom, and just as importantly, I'll show you 3 powerful vegetables that can help your body heal, protect your bones, and even sharpen your mind. You've likely had both types sitting in your kitchen for years. That's why this matters. Because once you know the truth, you can choose differently, gently, wisely, and in time. The 3rd harmful vegetable on this list may surprise even your doctor, so stay with me. Your health deserves nothing less. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 3 vegetables seniors should eat every week. 1. Spinach. They call it just a leafy green, but for seniors, spinach is far more than that. It's a quiet protector of your bones, your memory, and the steady rhythm of your heart. Over the years, working closely with older adults, I've seen time and again how the right foods can make the difference between decline and resilience, and spinach, humble as it may seem, sits right at the heart of that transformation. I recall a woman named Margaret Cicherlou, who came to me not long ago. She was a retired librarian, sharp and well-read, but lately, she had been misplacing her keys and struggling to remember names. She also mentioned pain in her knees when climbing stairs. Her bone scan revealed early-stage density loss, and her blood work hinted at nutrient imbalances. When we looked at her meals, one thing stood out. Her diet was low in dark greens. She ate plenty of fruit, but not enough vegetables that fed the body at a cellular level. Together, we made a few simple adjustments. One of the biggest was adding a small portion of lightly steamed spinach to her daily lunch. Not a drastic change, just a handful sautéed with garlic or stirred into soup. 3 months later, she returned for a follow-up, and the shift was hard to ignore. Her bones showed improvement. Her recall was quicker, and she told me she felt more grounded, more herself. It wasn't magic. It was nutrients finally reaching the parts of her body that had been quietly asking for them. Spinach is rich in vitamin K1, which helps calcium go where it's needed most into your bones, not your arteries. For older adults, this is especially important. Without enough vitamin K1, calcium can drift into the bloodstream and settle in the arteries, hardening them over time. But when calcium is paired with the right co-nutrients, it strengthens the skeletal system and supports balance, posture, and daily mobility. What many people don't realize is that spinach also supports cognitive health. It's one of the best natural sources of lutein and folate. nutrients shown to preserve neuron function and slow mental decline. In fact, research from Harvard has found that regular consumption of leafy greens like spinach can delay brain aging by more than a decade. That's 10 more years of clearer thinking, stronger focus, and sharper decision-making, all from something as simple as a daily serving of greens. And unlike synthetic supplements, which can be hard on aging digestion, spinach delivers these nutrients in a natural, absorbable form. Light steaming makes it even easier to digest and helps lower oxalate content, a small but meaningful step for those managing kidney concerns. Spinach isn't just a vegetable, it's a daily act of protection, a way to nourish your bones, clear your mind, and age with a little more strength and a little more clarity. For seniors looking to stay independent, avoid unnecessary medications, and hold on to their vitality, it's one of the most accessible tools available. And just as spinach fortifies your bones and mind, there's another vegetable bright, bold, and often overlooked that helps defend your vision while quietly fighting cancer at the same time. Let's explore that next. 2. Carrots. As we get older, many of us come to expect certain things, vision that dims a little more each year, immune systems that don't bounce back the way they used to, and energy that seems to drain faster than it did before. But sometimes these changes aren't just about aging. They're about what's missing from our plates. That's where carrots come in. Simple, familiar, and often overlooked, carrots offer some of the most powerful support an aging body could ask for, especially when it comes to protecting eyesight and strengthening the immune system. I think about Mr. Walter Bashayi, a retired mechanic who came in one winter complaining of constant sinus pressure and trouble seeing clearly in the evenings. He'd always prided himself on his independence. But lately, he found himself relying more on others to read labels, drive after dark, or help during his frequent colds. When we reviewed his meals, it became clear his diet was light on orange vegetables, and his vitamin A levels were just low enough to make a difference. We didn't need drastic changes. I simply recommended he add about half a cup of cooked carrots into his routine a few times a week. He could roast them with olive oil, toss them into soups, or steam them alongside dinner. Within 2 months, things began to shift. His night vision improved. He caught fewer colds. And he told me, with a small smile, that his skin felt healthier, less dry and dull. It wasn't about reversing time. It was about feeding his body what it needed to keep going strong. Carrots are rich in beta-carotene, which converts to vitamin A inside the body. That single nutrient plays a major role in protecting vision, especially in low light, while also strengthening the immune system and supporting healthy skin. Many seniors don't realize that low vitamin A can leave them more vulnerable to respiratory infections, especially during the colder months. But it's not just the beta-carotene that makes carrots special. They also contain a lesser-known compound called falcarinol, which research has linked to a lower risk of colon cancer, a serious concern for many older adults. Beyond the science, there's something deeply comforting about carrots. Their gentle sweetness can help satisfy cravings without spiking blood sugar. They're easy to prepare, easy to digest, and can be part of nearly any meal without fuss. Whether you enjoy them soft and warm or crisp and fresh, they're a quiet ally, one that supports your vision. your immune strength, and your overall well-being in small but meaningful ways. Adding carrots to your diet isn't just about eyesight. It's about holding on to the ability to navigate your world with clarity and confidence. And just as carrots help sharpen your view and defend your body, there's another vegetable, earthy, deeply cleansing, that works quietly to soothe inflammation, filter out toxins, and protect the heart from the strain of daily life. Let's take a closer look at that next 3. Broccoli. In the produce section, there's a vegetable that rarely gets the attention it deserves. It's not flashy or sweet, and it doesn't carry the same popularity as some of the trendier greens. But for older adults, it offers something even more important: quiet, consistent strength. That vegetable is broccoli. And for seniors navigating inflammation, digestion issues, heart strain, and medication side effects, broccoli can be one of the most healing choices on the plate. I think of Mrs. Helen Sisher Joe, a retired seamstress who came into my office tired, bloated, and increasingly foggy in the mornings. She wasn't in any acute danger, but she felt her body slowing in ways that were beginning to limit her freedom. Joint pain made it harder to sew, and her doctor had recently noticed elevated inflammation in her labs. She was taking multiple medications, and her digestion had become irregular. When I looked over her diet, there was one thing clearly missing: fiber-rich, anti-inflammatory vegetables. We didn't overhaul everything. We started small. I asked her to include a serving of steamed broccoli most days of the week. Just a simple portion, lightly cooked and drizzled with a little olive oil. It was easy to make, easy to chew, and gentle on her stomach. Within weeks, she felt the difference. Her digestion began to settle. The aching in her fingers eased slightly. And what stood out the most was her clarity. She said it felt like a fog had lifted. She had more interest in her hobbies again. She was reading more, laughing more. Her granddaughter noticed first. That kind of shift isn't magic. It's nutrition, meeting the needs of an aging body. Broccoli is rich in sulforaphane, a natural compound known for its strong anti-inflammatory effects. Unlike medications that mask symptoms, sulforaphane goes deeper, helping the body reduce the kind of low-level inflammation that wears us down from the inside, impacting joints, the heart, even the brain. It also supports liver detoxification, which becomes more important as we age and take more medications. A liver under pressure can slow everything down: digestion, circulation, even mood. Broccoli also brings fiber to ease constipation, vitamin C to support immunity and skin, and vitamin K to help keep bones strong. These aren't fringe benefits, they're core needs, especially for those wanting to stay active and independent. Broccoli might not look like a powerhouse, but inside, it's doing the work most seniors need. Adding it to your meals regularly is one of the simplest, most effective ways to support your aging body without adding more pills or complex routines. A little steamed broccoli can help calm the internal noise pain, pressure, confusion, and create space for more clarity, more movement, and more peace. But while certain vegetables like broccoli can help you thrive, not all vegetables work in your favor. In fact, some of the most common ones may quietly interfere with your medications aggravate your joints, or spike your blood sugar. They seem harmless, but for seniors, the consequences can build silently. Let's take a closer look at those next. 3 vegetables seniors should avoid or strictly limit. 1. Corn. Corn is one of those foods that feels like home. It shows up at summer cookouts, holiday dinners, and weeknight meals across America. It's familiar, it's easy, and it's often thought of as a harmless vegetable. But for seniors, especially anyone over the age of 65, corn can quietly become one of the most damaging foods on the plate. Behind that golden sweetness lies something far more serious than most people realize. Unlike leafy greens or cruciferous vegetables, corn is high in starch and extremely low in fiber. That combination sends a wave of sugar into the bloodstream soon after eating, creating sharp spikes in blood glucose levels. For older adults with diabetes, insulin resistance, or even just slowing metabolism, those spikes can do more than cause fatigue. They place stress on the heart, the brain, and the vascular system in ways that build over time. What starts as occasional brain fog or afternoon tiredness becomes chronic instability in blood sugar, a key risk factor for dementia, to stroke, and cardiovascular disease. I think of Mr. Alvin Tisherwoo, a retired electrician who prided himself on eating clean. He avoided sweets, didn't drink soda, and thought he was doing well. But at every meal, there was corn in one form or another, cornbread with breakfast, corn chowder at lunch, and a few spoonfuls of creamed corn or corn on the cob at dinner. He couldn't figure out why his A1C kept climbing or why his energy dipped so quickly in the afternoons. When we looked closely at his diet, the answer became clear. Corn was acting like hidden sugar, meal after meal. Once he replaced corn with more fiber-rich greens like steamed kale and sautéed spinach, his blood sugar began to stabilize. Within weeks, the crashes disappeared. He said he felt clearer, lighter on his feet, more in control of his day. He hadn't realized how much of an effect that one ingredient was having on his health until it was gone. What many seniors also don't realize is that most corn products today, especially those found in canned goods, soups, and packaged snacks, come from genetically modified crops heavily treated with pesticides like glyphosate. These chemicals don't just wash off, they accumulate, affecting the liver, disrupting gut bacteria, and triggering inflammation that contributes to joint pain, weight gain, and even cognitive issues. The damage caused by corn isn't immediate. It builds slowly, day after day. You may not notice it right away, but over time, your body does. The creaking in the knees, the pressure behind your eyes, the dull fatigue that sneaks into the evenings, these aren't just age. Often, they're signs of metabolic strain. And for many, corn is a quiet contributor. If corn is quietly sabotaging your health from the inside out, the next vegetable may be even more surprising. It's a common ingredient, especially in salads and stews. But for those with sensitive joints or trouble sleeping, it may be stirring up more harm than comfort. Let's take a closer look at this next one. 2. Eggplant. Eggplant shows up in recipes across the country, from Mediterranean casseroles to Southern-style stews. It's colorful, widely loved, and often promoted as part of a healthy diet, but for many seniors, especially those living with joint pain or chronic inflammation, eggplant may be doing far more harm than it appears. Beneath that smooth purple skin is a compound called solanine, a natural chemical found in nightshade vegetables that's been linked to increased inflammation, nerve sensitivity, and digestive irritation. For an aging body, that's not a small issue. It's something that can quietly take away the comfort and movement many people work hard to protect. I think of Miss Beverly Tissierart, who had been battling worsening arthritis in her fingers and knees. She was active, loved gardening, and did everything she could to stay mobile. But even with medications and stretching routines, the stiffness in the mornings was getting worse. She also mentioned occasional bloating, which she brushed off as nothing serious. After a closer look at her meals, one thing stood out. She loved grilled eggplant. It had become a staple, showing up in her meals at least twice a week. We decided to test what would happen if she cut it out, just temporarily, over the next month and a half. Her inflammation numbers went down. Her swelling eased. And the stiffness that once made her mornings so difficult began to fade. For the first time in over a year, she could make a fist without wincing. That's the kind of change solanine can influence, slow, often unnoticed at first, but deeply impactful over time. For seniors, this compound can interfere with nerve signals, increasing sensitivity in areas already vulnerable due to arthritis or neuropathy. It may also aggravate the lining of the gut, particularly in those with conditions like IBS, Crohn's, or autoimmune disorders. And unlike a dramatic allergic reaction, solanine's effects aren't loud. They come in quietly: aches that don't go away, discomfort that lingers, muscles that don't recover like they used to. What makes this especially frustrating is that most people don't suspect a vegetable like eggplant. It's not processed. It's not fried. It's not sugary. But in older adults, the reaction isn't about how it looks, it's about how the body processes it now, compared to years ago. The cost of eating it regularly often reveals itself in the slow erosion of mobility, energy, and even sleep quality. When you can't trust your joints, you lose confidence in your steps. Climbing stairs becomes risky. Bending down feels uncertain. The impact of eggplant, for those sensitive to it, reaches far beyond the dinner table. And while eggplant works quietly inside the body, causing pain and stiffness from within, the next vegetable poses a different danger altogether. It disrupts the balance between your heart, your kidneys, and the medications you rely on, turning a familiar side dish into a serious risk. 3. Canned pickles. For many older adults, the sound of a pickle jar opening can bring back memories, family dinners, summer barbecues, or a simple lunch at the kitchen table. Pickles feel familiar. They're crisp, tangy, and often add just the right touch to a meal. But for aging bodies, especially those managing high blood pressure or heart concerns, that crunch can come with a heavy price. Behind every bite is a quiet overload of sodium, one that many seniors don't notice until symptoms start to surface. One medium spear of a store-bought pickle can contain over 700 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly half the recommended daily limit for older adults in just a single bite. 2 spears, you're already over the edge. And the problem isn't just in numbers, it's in how older bodies process salt. As we age, the kidneys don't flush out sodium as efficiently. The heart becomes more sensitive to fluid buildup. Blood vessels stiffen. What once might have been a harmless snack now puts pressure on systems already stretched thin. I think of Mr. Leuben Tischerba, a retired train conductor who came in feeling unusually tired and short of breath. His ankles were swollen. His heart was racing at times. And he couldn't figure out why. He wasn't eating processed foods or fast food. He cooked at home, but when we looked closely, there it was a small dish of pickles with lunch and sometimes dinner. He thought it was harmless. Is just a bit of flavor. But day after day, those pickles were quietly pushing his blood pressure higher and placing strain on his kidneys. Once we cut them out and replaced them with herbs and fresh vegetables, his swelling began to ease. He slept better. His steps felt lighter. His next checkup showed real improvement. Sodium doesn't announce itself. It doesn't make noise or cause instant pain. It builds in silence. And for those taking blood pressure medications or diuretics, high sodium intake can create dangerous imbalances. Blood pressure may spike or plummet unexpectedly. You might feel dizzy when you stand up. You could experience palpitations or even faint. The same medication that helps your heart can be undermined by a single food that's been sitting on your table for decades. Canned and jarred pickles are also often soaked in acidic vinegar and preservatives that can irritate the stomach lining, especially for those dealing with GERD or who take medications that already tax the digestive system. The combination of acid, salt, and chemical additives can lead to discomfort, bloating, and long-term irritation that's easily mistaken for aging. The true cost of salty foods like pickles often shows up slowly in elevated lab numbers, more frequent doctor visits, and a body that feels heavier, slower, and more uncomfortable. It robs you not only of energy, but of peace of mind. You lose confidence in your balance, in your heart's rhythm, in your ability to enjoy a simple meal without consequence. The biggest threat to your health in your later years often isn't a single food. It's the quiet habit of eating without truly knowing what's nourishing you and what might be quietly wearing you down. Every bite matters more than it used to. And every plate you fill has the potential to either lift you up or slowly weigh you down. That's why now, more than ever, it's time to look at your meals not just as routine, but as a powerful form of care. As we age, our bodies change. Digestion slows. Kidneys and liver work harder. And the buffer we once had for stress, both from the outside world and from within, starts to thin. The foods we once enjoyed freely in our 30s or 40s can now carry consequences we never imagined. But that doesn't mean we need fear. It means we need awareness, the kind of awareness that gives us choices, not restrictions. The kind that helps us eat with intention, not confusion. Your plate isn't just a place for food. It's a reflection of your next chapter. Every vegetable you choose to include or gently set aside is shaping your energy, your strength, and your ability to live life on your terms. A handful of steamed broccoli could be calming inflammation in your joints. A serving of spinach might be feeding your bones and sharpening your mind, but that same meal could be undone by one scoop of creamed corn or a side of salty pickles, sending your blood sugar soaring or your blood pressure climbing silently through the afternoon. This isn't about fear or guilt. It's about feeling empowered again. No one needs a complicated diet or endless rules. What matters most is clarity. The quiet confidence to say, this food supports my health. And just as importantly, that one doesn't. It's a shift from guessing to choosing with purpose. I've seen the change firsthand in people just like you. Like Mr. Curtis, who regained control of his arthritis simply by cutting out nightshades, or Miss Lorraine, who finally felt steady again after stepping away from her daily pickle habit. They didn't need extreme plans or expensive solutions. What changed everything for them was consistency and a willingness to listen to their bodies in a new way. When you don't know what's in your food, the cost doesn't show up all at once. It sneaks in. A little more fatigue, a new prescription, a fall that didn't have to happen, but it adds up, slowly taking pieces of your freedom, your clarity, and your comfort. That's why this matters. Not just to live longer, but to live better. So let this be the moment you turn a corner. Begin by noticing. Make one change today. Just one. Choose vegetables that nourish. Walk away from the ones that drain you. Let your meals become part of your strength, not your struggle. Your later years are not about settling. They're about thriving, and the path to that future begins right in your kitchen. One plate, one choice, one clear decision at a time. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. And here's to living life on your own terms.